How is B2B marketing different from B2C marketing? I'm going to share with you 3 similarities, 3 differences, and most importantly, 2 audit questions that you should use before getting started with your marketing. How is B2B marketing different from B2C marketing? I'm going to share with you 3 similarities, 3 differences, and 2 audit questions you absolutely want to utilize if you want to ensure that your marketing lands with B2B buyers. So let's start with a little bit of grounding on what we mean by B2B versus B2C. B2B simply means business to business. That's one business selling to another business. And in today's marketplace, you'll see the terminology B2B used for any scenario of any type of organization. So it could be a nonprofit, it could be a higher education institution. Really, it's any time that decision maker is working inside an organization. They're not spending their money, they're spending their employer's money. On the other hand, B2C means business to consumer, meaning businesses who are selling to individuals, consumers, whether at Target or at Home Depot. But in today's market, you also see the terminology of B2C utilized for when you're selling to solopreneurs, solo experts. Why do they get lumped into B2C? Because they're paying with their own credit cards. They really see it as their own money. It's a very different psychological sale than when you're selling to a vice president that works at Coca-Cola who's deciding to bring in an executive coach to work with their team. Very different ball game altogether. At Bold House, we focus on the B2B world, not on the B2C world. You might be wondering why I chose that photo for this slide. And it's because I wanted to address a myth that comes up all the time. Folks are always thinking that the grass is going to be greener on the other side of the fence. And over the last 27 years now, I have sold to almost every type of client or customer that you can imagine, from being a decision maker inside the Fortune 500 to selling to organizations of all shapes and sizes, to working with solo experts as part of Bold House, to even owning a franchise where we were truly selling business to consumer. We were selling to homeowners. And what I can assure you of is that every marketplace has its challenges, it has its benefits, it has its pros and its cons. There is not a marketplace out there where you will not have challenges that you need to overcome when it comes to acquiring clients for your business. So if you are making that decision to move from, let's say, B2C to B2B, just know you will have different challenges in the B2B space than you had in the B2C space. The key is to understand who your target market is and to design strategies that overcome those frustrations and challenges. All right, so let's talk about 3 similarities and 3 differences. Starting with 3 similarities between B2B and B2C, the first being that awareness and trust both matter. Clients cannot buy from you if they don't know about you, and they won't buy from you if they don't trust that they will get from you what it is that you're promising. The next similarity is that both clarity and curiosity equal conversions, whether that's conversions into a webinar, conversions into a one-to-one conversation with you, or conversion into a paying sale. A confused mind doesn't buy. The decision maker, whether that is a solo individual, a consumer, or a decision maker inside of an organization, they need to have clarity on what it is, what is the value, what is it specifically that you're going to do for them. And curiosity plays a part in getting people to come into that webinar, come into that speaking session, get on that call with you. They need to want to know more. And no matter whether you are selling to B2C or B2B, the perceived value has to be greater than the investment of not only money, but more importantly, time. Folks have much less time than they have money. So even though people are often saying to you, we simply don't have the budget, typically the much bigger obstacle is them having the time to do the thing. Everyone is stretched very thin these days. All right, so those are 3 of the biggest similarities. Let's look at 3 of the biggest differences. The first being who the money and the time belongs to. Inside of an organization, that money and that time is not really the decision makers to spend. Granted, they have the authority to spend that money, but when they invest that money, let's say for you to come in and do a 2-day training workshop with 50 of their employees, when they invest that $15,000, $20,000 with you, that's not coming out of their paycheck. It's not coming out of their kitchen remodel fund. It's not coming out of their trip to Italy fund. It is the organization's money. But that also means that they are putting some of their political capital on the table. If they're saying, yes, we should work with this communications consultant, with this branding firm, with this graphic designer, with this leadership coach, they're putting their professional reputation on the line, and that's budget in their budget that they can't use for something else. Of course, when you're selling in the B2C world, that is coming out of the kitchen remodel budget, that is coming out of the trip to Italy, so it's a little bit different psychologically. The next is multiple stakeholders. The idea that there is a one-stop decision maker inside of the B2B space, that ship has long since sailed. Organizations today typically make decisions by committee, in part because leaders want to insulate themselves from them being the one who made the sole decision, and now if it doesn't go to plan, they're getting blamed for it. Even if a decision maker is at the top of the order, they are in that C-suite, they will often get input from their direct reports that they trust most. And so oftentimes it really is a decision that is happening by committee. When you're selling in the B2C space, typically you are dealing with just one person. Even if you're in a situation where someone has a relationship, let's say there's a spouse involved and they are running that decision by the spouse, ultimately, they are the ones making the decision, even if they're a small business owner. It's their business, and they ultimately will make that yay or nay decision to move forward. And the last difference, one of the biggest differences, and for those of you who've been trying to use B2C strategies in the B2B space and it's not working so great, it's actually because of this issue right here, in terms of where the urgency is created from. When you look at the strategies that are taught in the B2C space or in the solopreneur or online marketing space, they all assume that urgency can be created from the outside. You see things like this webinar is only happening today at noon and there won't be a replay, or this discount expires at midnight, or there are only 12 seats remaining, or whatever the case may be. That's all external urgency that's being created. And it's with external urgency that online marketing funnels rest. If you are scrolling through Instagram and you click on something and you start seeing the countdown timers and you're getting the text messages and all of those things to get you on that sales conversation, that's because those marketers are using external urgency, really manufactured urgency, in order to get people to move forward. Why? Because humans tend not to take action until they absolutely have to. Now, that's also true for decision makers inside of organizations. They are also humans, and they don't like to take action until they absolutely have to. The difference is the urgency with decision makers inside of organizations is that you cannot affect that urgency from the outside. You cannot turn that submarine around in the bathtub. That urgency comes from inside the organizations. And typically what creates urgency from an organization are deadlines, dates, and danger. Deadlines, dates, and danger. Deadlines meaning deadlines that they've established for themselves that a new product launch has to happen, or they have a deadline to turn in their end of year budgets, or whatever the case may be. Dates being dates that they actually put on the calendar that they can't move. For example, there's a huge industry conference and the company is going to be at the conference unveiling their new product. Well, they can't change that date. That date is happening whether or not their product launch is ready. That conference is moving forward. December 31st, they can't change that date. If that's when their fiscal year ends, that's when their fiscal year ends. And then lastly, danger. They are in danger, whether that means they're in danger of losing a customer, or they are in danger of not hitting their quarterly earnings, or they are in danger of losing their best talent because their culture has disintegrated inside the organization. So deadlines, dates, and danger inside the organization is what's going to create that urgency in the B2B space. You're not going to be able to do that with manufactured urgency from the outside. So there you go, 3 similarities of B2B and B2C, and more importantly, 3 differences of B2B versus B2C. So here's the audit question that I promised you at the outset to help understand whether or not your marketing is or is not going to land with B2B decision makers. And it's a really simple question. If a decision maker reads or watches this, because marketing, right, is something people consume, if a decision maker reads or watches this, will they be better able to explain to their boss or peers how our firm is specifically equipped to solve a problem they're facing? If your marketing collateral, if your website, if your content that you're putting out into the marketplace isn't equipping decision makers to be able to go into meetings internally, whether with their peers or their team or their superiors, and explain what business problem your firm is able to help them with, as well as why you are the ones equipped to do that, then it doesn't really matter what you're publishing. Given that there are multiple decision makers involved in bringing in an outside expert like you, securing that budget and getting started, you need to make sure that your marketing is doing everything it can to help those decision makers inside organizations to be a good champion for you. So that's the audit question I want you to utilize. Now that you know the key differences between marketing to B2C versus marketing to B2B, the next step is to build a strategy for marketing to B2B decision makers. So the video I want you to watch next is how to build a marketing strategy for B2B. The link to that video is right below. Go ahead and click on that now, and I'll meet you over there.